Hurricanes, colossal tropical storms that form over warm oceans, are capable of unleashing devastating power, wiping out entire cities and leaving behind a trail of destruction and chaos. Throughout history, many cities have witnessed the relentless fury of these storms, which not only destroy infrastructure, but also deeply affect the lives of their inhabitants. One of the most devastating examples is Hurricane Katrina, which struck the city of New Orleans, United States, in 2005. Katrina was not just a storm, it was a catastrophe of epic proportions, with winds exceeding 125 miles per hour and a storm surge that overwhelmed the city's levees. Massive flooding covered much of New Orleans, wiping out entire neighborhoods. Thousands were trapped in desperate conditions, and the death toll exceeded 1,800. The city was paralyzed for weeks, with damage estimates reaching over $125 billion. To this day, New Orleans is still recovering from that disaster, a constant reminder of the vulnerability of cities to the unstoppable forces of nature. Galveston, Texas, is another city forever linked to hurricane devastation. In 1900, this once prosperous coastal city was obliterated by what is considered the deadliest hurricane in U.S. history. With winds of 135 miles per hour and a storm surge that flooded the city with waves over 13 feet high, Galveston was almost wiped off the map. An estimated 6,000 to 12,000 people lost their lives in the disaster, and it took decades for the city to rebuild. The hurricane changed Galveston's fate, shifting its prominence as a major port and leaving behind a tragic legacy. Further south in the Caribbean, islands and their cities have repeatedly faced the wrath of some of the strongest hurricanes on record. San Juan, the capital of Puerto Rico, has endured numerous hurricanes over the years. However, few were as destructive as Hurricane Maria in 2017. With winds exceeding 155 miles per hour, Maria devastated Puerto Rico, leaving much of the island without power for months. Cities were plunged into chaos, and the slow recovery response worsened the humanitarian crisis. More than 3,000 people are estimated to have died from direct and indirect causes of the hurricane. Puerto Rico still struggles to fully recover, and the psychological and economic impact of Maria remains palpable among its citizens. Santo Domingo, the capital of the Dominican Republic, has also faced the brute force of hurricanes. In 1930, Hurricane San Zenon destroyed much of the city with winds over 155 miles per hour, leaving thousands homeless. More recently, in 1998, Hurricane Georges struck the island, causing severe flooding, destroying homes, infrastructure, and crops. While the city has demonstrated remarkable resilience, hurricanes remain a constant threat to the Caribbean, with every new season bringing the fear of more catastrophic storms. In the Gulf of Mexico, Ciudad del Carmen, Mexico, has also experienced the effects of hurricanes. In 2005, Hurricane Wilma, one of the most powerful hurricanes on record, hit the Yucatan Peninsula and significantly impacted the city. Wilma became the most intense hurricane ever recorded in the Atlantic, and while Ciudad del Carmen did not suffer the same level of destruction as other areas, the economic consequences were devastating, particularly in the oil industry, which had to halt much of its operations due to the storm. Havana, Cuba, is another city that has witnessed the wrath of hurricanes. The island's geography makes it especially vulnerable, and hurricanes like Hurricane Irma in 2017 have left a trail of destruction. With winds exceeding 160 miles per hour, Irma caused extensive damage to infrastructure, from homes to hospitals and schools. The city, though used to tropical storms, was thrown into chaos, with vast areas flooded and thousands evacuated. Across the Atlantic, on the U.S. East Coast, Miami has been repeatedly struck by hurricanes. In 1992, Hurricane Andrew decimated much of the city and surrounding areas, leaving tens of thousands homeless. Andrew served as a stark reminder of how vulnerable Florida's coast is to hurricanes, leading the city to significantly strengthen its building codes and infrastructure to better withstand future disasters. But hurricanes don't only affect coastal cities. Inland, in Honduras, in 1998, Hurricane Mitch caused one of the most severe catastrophes in Central America's recent history. While Mitch made landfall in Nicaragua, the torrential rains it brought devastated Honduras, wiping out entire cities and triggering landslides that buried entire villages. The hurricane left over 11,000 people dead and caused irreparable damage to the country's infrastructure, particularly in the capital, Tegucigalpa. The impact of hurricanes on these cities isn't just measured in material losses or lives lost. The rebuilding process is long and painful, often taking years or even decades to complete. The resilience of communities in the face of these disasters is admirable, but it is also a stark reminder of how fragile our cities are in the face of nature's relentless force. Despite advances in technology and meteorological forecasting, hurricanes continue to pose a constant threat to tropical and subtropical regions of the world. Every hurricane season brings with it the possibility of a new storm wreaking havoc on a city, forever altering the lives of its inhabitants.